Liam, you're so welcome.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very much.
taking us home tonight. Have you enjoyed the evening, first of all?
Gorgeous, it's gorgeous. Listen, the positivity in the room is bottleable, and that's what it's all about. It's an extraordinary thing. My first association with it, I went originally just before Hussam. I'll tell you a little bit more about this incredible human being in a while. But when I went out to Greece with originally the International Rescue Committee, and you prepare yourself for horror and prepare yourself for awful stories. And the thing that I was most astonished with is the joie de vivre of the people doing this, the people dealing with horrific situations with refugees and misery and lack of humanity, and the amount of joy that they got. It's the same in your job. The amount of joy you get from being there for somebody, from helping somebody. There's actually a reward, an unexpected reward from helping people, and that was a weird thing that I wasn't expecting. I kind of thought you might be able to give a little bit of a glimmer of hope, a little bit of whatever. You're not forgotten. You're not whatever it may be, and all those things are incredibly important. I wasn't expecting what came the other direction, which was this. There's something visceral in us that makes us want to help people and get joy. And I think it's, for those of us lucky enough to have kids, you get that from your kid when you help them, when you wipe their bloody knee and they think, thank you, Dad, thank you, Mom, whatever it may be, and you get a satisfaction from that. When you're helping people who aren't your family, aren't part of that, and that's incredibly joyful.
Comes from in there, the way you just described it.
Yeah.
Wow. I have a suspicion, I've no evidence, but I reckon that most Game of Thrones fans around the world, after watching a video like that, would be surprised at two things. First of all, you're not actually a Geordie.
There is. And even Geordies are surprised occasionally.
But secondly, that someone with the profile that you have actually gets involved in this stuff. Did you, because of what you just described as a sort of interaction, did you offer, or did people come and find you, or did you see something that prompted you to say, you know what, actually, I would love to do something like, well, maybe, we actually have another video of Hussam. Do you want to, we could play that and then you could talk about it specifically.
It's a beautiful video, if you have it, if you've got is it the CNN thing?
Yeah.
This is worth seeing.
Let's have a look at this.
Doing my last English exam.
Two unlikely friends, one a TV star, the other a refugee.
She was good, she was kind, and you killed her!
You may recognise Irish actor Liam Cunningham. On screen, he's best known as Sir Davos in the hit series Game of Thrones.
You had him believing it, all of them fooled.
In Syria, I was pumped in my school.
While 16-year-old Hussam is far from famous, one of the millions of refugees from Syria's civil war. To Cunningham, war is just a fantasy, played out on a fictional battlefield. But for Hussam, it's all too real. He was forced to flee Syria after his school was destroyed by an airstrike, killing several of his friends and other students. Cunningham and several Thrones castmates visited refugee camps in Greece earlier this year, trying to raise awareness to the refugees' plight. Cunningham met Hussam at another camp in Jordan, and the two immediately hit it off. The teen hoped to eventually join his father and brother in Germany. Hussam even started teaching himself German and English so he could easily integrate into society. That was a month ago. Hussam successfully made it to Germany and is now living in Stuttgart, when Cunningham decided to surprise his Syrian friend.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing here?
I came to see you.
Both friends delighted to be reunited.
Well, welcome to Europe.
What are you doing here?
I came to see you.
Really happy, It's like unbelievable. Yeah. I can't explain my feeling, yeah.
I am overjoyed. I'm incredibly happy because of the generosity of the German people.
While the two were busy catching up, Hussam admitted he had never heard of Game of Thrones.
I didn't realize that my friend here, Liam Cunningham, is a big famous. Just when the ladies told me that he's a big actor and famous actor, and oh my God, so then I gave him a hug.
Hussam promises to start watching the show once he and his family get settled in their new home. Robin Kerno, CNN.
Wow. So, wow.
So,
can-
briefly,
Yeah. So what you couldn't see was actually Liam's face watching that, and that moment whenever you surprised Hussam, like that just brought it
I
back
set up
to
that
you.
interview. I actually set up with World Vision, with the gorgeous people that I work with, and I said, look, this is a good news story. There's so much misery, and as I've said to people before, the news is the news because it's unusual. If it's usual, a mother feeding her child, a dad, I'm generalizing here, but handing over his wage packet and feeding his family, giving your money to a taxi man to get you home after a drunken night when he's going home and using that money to feed his family. These things that obviously, for obvious reasons, don't make the news. Death, destruction, misery, and Brexit makes the news because it's not part of who we are. It's awful stuff. This guy, talk about the indomitable spirit. You may have heard him saying about he was sitting in his classroom doing his final exam, and a missile came in through the window. He pulled his best friend dead from the rubble. And they were well-to-do. They were in the small town that I lived. The family had a swimming pool, and they were middle upper class, you could say, swimming pool, I suppose. And they had to run for it. The war came close. They had to pay smugglers to try and get them to Jordan. They had to do it by night. The smugglers, when they saw lights in the distance in the desert, disappeared, left them, him and his family. Their brother, they came across a well which somebody had put diesel in the well and poisoned their brother. Brother nearly died. They had backpacks. That's all they had, haversacks with all their possessions they could carry. They made it to, they got split up. His family, dad and two brothers. His brother was a petrochemical engineer. We tend to think as refugees as people who are goat herders and people who are, do you know what I mean? It's a strange thing, at least I did. When you're meeting in the refugee camps in Greece, when there's an architects and oncologists and judges on their tents, and you're kind of going, hold on a minute, this is not as alien as I thought it was. This is very, very close to home. And then you look at the figures of, I was just looking at the other day, there was 100,000. When you look at the right wing in Poland at the minute and Hungary and places like that with Orban and these anti-immigration policies, these people have incredibly short memories. There was 100,000 Poles in World War II that sought refuge in Iran and various places, some in Africa. And the direction of travel only 70 years ago was from west to east. It just happens to be from east to west at the moment. And we have a moral obligation to do the decent thing and look after them. If you look at our own history, 150 years ago, depending on the statistics, we'd lost, 2 million people here through famine, and 1.5 million were taken in the majority in North America. If they, in North America at the time, had said, I'm sorry, lads, it's too many of you, we can't take you in, what would have become of us? It's now our turn to return the favor that the world has done to us and Europe, and to make things difficult for people. There's a whole system in place for accepting asylum seekers. If people come over and they're economic migrants, they have to, there's a set of rules they have to follow, or they're returned if they're just there to earn a living. Asylum seekers are seeking refuge, they're seeking asylum, and it's not a privilege that we're giving them that they can come here. They have rights. These people have rights, and we should never question them. We embrace people who are in trouble because that's what we would want to happen if the situation was reversed. That's the mathematics are very, very basic and very simple on this, and that's why I love the name of this, the Good Summit. This is about doing good. Do not get buried in the complexity of political expediency and diplomacy and all that. There's basic good and evil. It's what you teach with spiritual guidance, and that's incredibly important, and it's very basic. And ask the basic questions. The basic questions do not come across as stupid. They come across as a leveler. Why are you doing this? Why is it's very complex, it'd be difficult to explain. Well, why don't you get rid of the complexity? Make it simple. These are excuses for keeping people who are in trouble out of our hair, and it's deplorable behaviour and should be heavily questioned.
That's well. First of all, yeah, yeah. It's remarkably comforting to hear somebody who was in Game of Thrones come down on the side of good.
I know. Well, that's one of the parts of the show. The show, I mean, when I was approached first, my agent rang me and said, there's this thing with dragons, and I went, let me stop you there. And she went, no, please read it. It's HBO, it's The Sopranos, The Wire, and I read it, and it's, the dragon thing and the whole Westeros world is very much a very, very expensive backdrop to a story about the nature of power and what power can do to people and what power can do to good people. Power is a very, very, very dangerous drug. It creates suspicion and paranoia and protecting your little castle, whatever metaphor you want to use. To stay where you are because you think you're probably the best person for the job because that guy is a bit more evil than you and this, that, and the other. And then you get talked into doing things which are difficult decisions, but in the interest of the great. It's not. It always comes down. It comes down to being able to look in the eye of the people that you felt yourself necessary to be bestial towards. And these people need to be shamed. Any warmonger needs to be shamed. Any weapons manufacturers who hide behind the fence when those weapons are being used to attack people, not defend from people. I find it incredibly odd, and that's why it's joyous to be in this room, because change. It's not change will come. Change is happening now. We look at Greta. We talked about this yesterday. Look at Greta, a young, innocent girl who's sitting on her own outside, protesting outside a government building, and is now at the forefront of a worldwide campaign where she's addressing the United Nations and shaming them. This is a young girl with no power, no mandate, no nothing, and she's 100% right. And we need to keep going that way. This is it's funny to say, but the hippies were right. They were right. The Birkenstock wearing hippies were right, that we need to be good to the planet. The planet will look after us. The basics are very simple on this. We need to look after each other, which is the great, philosophy.
It's wonderful to hear your passion on this. It's great to see you work with World Vision. We are deeply honoured that you join us. In goodness, no, we are, because actually, people who do what you do, it costs you something to be here, and we know that. So we want you to know that we
only live up the road,
do
Joe.
not take that for granted. You're not just coming from LA today. I told him that. I said Liam's on a plane.
Yeah, my gated community in Hollywood. I don't think so. No.
well, like caring the way that you do, the passion with which you speak. How do you sustain yourself? What are the things that keep Liam Cunningham doing that, keeping at it?
No, when in my 20s. I used to be. That's just how old I am. I was a punk in the late 70s. I'm so old. It's embarrassing. And I moan about the same things now. The thing is, when you're 20s and you've a shaved head and Doc Marten boots, you're regarded as a rebel. When you're 58, you're curmudgeonly. And I'm still just saying the same things. I've just had an aversion to injustice and self-servingness. And it took me, I mean, obviously, with the notoriety and with the show and whatever, and it was one of the reasons that IRC came to us originally. HBO teamed up with the IRC, and they said they came to us. And all of a sudden, the same things I'd been given out about for 40 years. Now I sort of had a voice. We did an interview with the Associated Press when we'd come away from one of the rougher refugee camps, and myself and Lena Headey, the wonderful Cersei in the show, and the gorgeous Maisie Williams, who plays Arya, and we were livid. We were so angry at what was happening to these beautiful people, what was being done in the name of politics. That we did this thing, which was initially released. AP got it, Al Jazeera picked it up, and then it went out on their Facebook, and within a week we had 65 million views on it, because we were livid, and we're very hot from experiencing that. And anybody in this room who had been brought over there and met these people. The scary thing is, I was talking to people who, you tend to cope with these things emotionally because you go, it's over there. You tend to cope with these things emotionally because it's 2.5, 3.5 million. It's 5 million people here. It's 65 million displaced people around the world. It's gone up 10% since between 16 and 18. I think it went up 10% just in those couple of years. It's a self-preservation method that we all have of saying, God love those people, isn't it awful? And it saves us the pain of having to think about it. When you meet somebody like Hussam, when he's gone through that, when he gets himself to, I don't know whether he could hear it, but he had a mobile phone that he plugged his keyboard into, and when he was in Zatari refugee camp, he taught himself English off his mobile phone. He escaped from the refugee camp because he was going to be just trapped there and he wanted to get to his family. He got a little flat, him and his mum got a little flat in a tiny town, that's where I met him. He was now learning between 3 and 5, 7 days a week. He was teaching himself German with the same mobile phone, so he wouldn't be a burden to the German people when he got there. He wouldn't have to do, and he could integrate a little better. He gets to Stuttgart, which is where I organised with World Vision to go over and get this good news story that no matter what, he won that war. The people dropping bombs to dispirit him, to take away his hope and whatever, he basically gave them 2 fingers and went, you can't take my spirit, you can't take my hope. You can see him, he's full of life, full of beans. He rang, we keep in touch by WhatsApp all the time. And he says to me about a year ago, it was about a year and a half ago, he was going to get into the petrochemical industry, and he said, no. He said, I think I'm going to be an actor. And I went, oh, God, Hussam, are you out of your mind? And he said, no, it'll be fine. And he's got the strangest way of saying things. He says things, and he's just going, no, don't worry. It's like, I've made a decision. It's going to happen. And it's not an arrogance. It's not even an assertiveness. It's just, I've made my mind up. And you're kind of going, where does this come from? I get a call from the gorgeous people, Neve at World Vision, goes, I think we need to go back to Stuttgart. And I said, why? He said, it's the premiere of his movie that he's starring in. And I'm going, are you, what? He'd sent me a couple of photographs with a film camera and all. I went, yeah, whatever. And it was the school that he'd gone to, and they're very heavily funded over there. And he'd got the lead in the story about a refugee, and he's the lead. It's his face on the DVD box cover with these fantastic German people that he's integrated with. And it's just, I mean, if you don't look after people who have, I mean, this place is about dreams, isn't it? It's about realizing that hard effort to even get into this establishment is ridiculous. The stress that the students went through. And you have an opportunity to be a world leader, to be a spiritual leader, to be whatever you want to be. The world is your oyster. This is the cream of the crop of the world, and you can be anything you want to be. And to deny somebody the opportunity like Hussam, that privilege to be able to do that is wrong. He's one of the people. He should be an MP in Syria because he has a warmth about him, a cleverness about him, and an assertiveness that has to be molded, has to be fed. And when I keep in contact with him, he knows he's not forgotten. It doesn't matter what you do; it's just how you're getting on, how it's all that, and it takes away that doubt that it may not happen, and that's what's important. This is humans touching humans. And look at the amount of good from the speakers that we've had in here. The ripple effect from this is extraordinary, and it needs to continue. And it's not that change will come. Change is happening at the moment. It is happening. The politicians have been shamed into it. The world leaders they're being quite rightly disrespected if they're not attending to climate change. It's our children's future. Our children are changing us. The Bob Dylan lyrics that we saw there are 100% true, and we as adults should be embarrassed that we haven't done what the kids are trying to do now. And we should apologize. Every adult on the planet should apologize for not doing what right by their children.
you are pulling together so many things for us.
Sorry, I do ramble.
No, no, I'm gutted that we've only really got time for one more question. But what I just heard you say, I have heard in 24 different ways from this morning and in the seminars this afternoon. It seems that we keep getting battered with stuff that matters at an event like this. Whenever we hear stuff repeated, humans helping humans, we are better together. This is this is the only planet we've got, and we've only got each other.
Yeah.
The relationships are central. So whenever you come and talk about a video that a celebrity made, and then but actually you're talking to him on WhatsApp still, and we see that actually these relationships are real.
Yeah, we're going to bring him over. Niall, are you here?
He is. Niall's here as well.
We're
Director of World
We're in the
Vision.
process of getting him over here.
Well, let us know, and we'll bring a good summit camera and show the piece next year.
No, we need to bring him over, because it's very easy to shame the naysayers, the people, like we said yesterday, the people who are pitting, why don't we look after the homeless and look after our own first. It's a very trite statement. If you want to pit vulnerable groups against each other, you're going the right way about it. We have the wherewithal to help people in need. There's no priority because of the colour of your passport. We're citizens of the world now. Business like to talk about the global village, except when it comes to helping people. Then all of a sudden, we're a little island. We can't, we can only look after so many. No, you can't do that when it suits you. You can't talk about internationalism when it comes to business, and then turn around and go, no, be isolationist when it comes to helping people. That's hypocrisy of the worst order, which needs to be stamped out. And it's very easy. You can shame these people very easily. Most of them haven't got 2 brain cells to rub together anyway.
I think that went down well. Last question. I've asked it of a few people today. Give us a bit of your hope to finish with.
Well, there's loads. The hope is in the room.
Give us
hope is Greta. Hope is the amount of people that are. I mean, look at the push on sustainability at the moment. It's the biggest business thing on the planet. Look at the I mean, anybody working for the petroleum industry might as well be, might as well be typhoid Mary. Really, I think people are embarrassed to say that they work in fracking in Britain. Fracking is just finished. They were trying to kick that off. That's gone. I mean, you look at our orange friend in Washington. He's what do we need to say? Do we need to say anything about him? It speaks for itself. He just looks like Victorian, looking after big business and putting tariffs and putting walls up. And it's like, if it wasn't so painful, it would be laughable. He's just so old-fashioned, and the youth are the new. The youth are being listened to because they've got a clarity of vision that we have allowed the complexity in media to manipulate us into thinking the world is a lot more complicated than it is. It isn't. We've made it complicated. We need to simplify it. We need to. How does this thing that I buy affect the rest of the planet? How does helping people? The homeless thing that we saw, for anybody that's out there homeless that is still waiting on somewhere, to be able to walk by Trinity, college and see 2,000 people, it's solidarity. That's solidarity is hope. And the amount of, as I say, business people, bright business people who are, I'm the world's worst organizer. There's certain things I'm good at. My taxes are driving me mad at the moment. I can't even do that. But to respect I have for people who can go, okay, we take that from there, put that together. We provide food. That wonderful about the women's refuge and people doing. I mean, that makes the heart soar. That's what we're on the planet for. The maths are simple. Do good. Good can be profitable, not only for your pocket, but for your mind, for your soul, for your contentment, for your happiness. It's effective. It's effective. It's not just doing good. You get good from doing good. You become good from doing good. You become happy. Happiness is contagious. It's a glorious thing. Do not stop. Keep doing it. It's fabulous.
Ladies and gentlemen, Liam Cunningham.
No problem.